Another day, another disappointment, Jake muttered as he swiped away the third productivity app notification that morning. His phone was a graveyard of abandoned self-improvement attempts, meditation trackers with streaks that never passed day 3, workout plans purchased but never opened, and reading goals that mocked him from forgotten corners of his digital life. At 32, Jake felt trapped in a life that was passing him by. Not terrible, just mediocre. His desk job drained him, his health was declining, and that business idea he'd been talking about for years remained just that: talk. The internet had convinced him he needed elaborate morning routines, ice baths, specialized supplements, and tracking apps for everything from his sleep to his water intake. The breaking point came on a Tuesday evening. After spending $97 on yet another online course promising 20 habits of ultra-successful people, Jake found himself staring at his reflection in the bathroom mirror, wondering when he'd become the kind of person who bought solutions instead of implementing them. What if it's all just noise? He wondered aloud. That night, instead of falling asleep to another motivational YouTube video, Jake grabbed a notebook and wrote a single question. What's the simplest way forward? The next morning, his alarm went off at 6:30 a.m. Not the aspirational 4 a.m. he'd failed to maintain for months, but early enough to give himself some breathing room before work at 8:30. Just 30 minutes for myself, he whispered, fighting the urge to reach for his phone. The quiet felt uncomfortable at first, almost anxiety-inducing. But as he sat with his coffee, watching the sun climb over the buildings across the street, something shifted. His breathing slowed, his thoughts clarified. For the first time in months, he wasn't reacting to someone else's agenda. Instead of his usual scroll through social media, Jake put on his running shoes and stepped outside. No tracking app, no performance goals, just 20 minutes of movement. His lungs burned by the second block, a humbling reminder of how disconnected he'd become from his body. But when he returned home, sweaty and slightly breathless, he felt more awake than any motivational video had ever made him feel. With this newfound clarity, Jake grabbed his notebook and wrote down just 3 priorities for the day. Not 20 tasks, not an optimized schedule broken into 15-minute increments, just 3 essential things he could actually accomplish. The relief was immediate and palpable. Keep it simple became his mantra as he packed a lunch of whole foods instead of ordering delivery, as had become his habit. He took his sandwich to a nearby park bench, soaking in 15 minutes of midday sunlight while listening to a podcast on business fundamentals. The transformation wasn't dramatic. No one stopped him on the street to ask about his glow. But by the end of the week, Jake noticed subtle changes. His energy was more consistent. His sleep had improved. The constant background anxiety had quieted. And most surprisingly, he looked forward to this simple routine rather than dreading it. The true test came a month later when his boss dumped an emergency project on his desk at 4:30 p.m. The old Jake would have panicked, stayed late, ordered takeout, and spiraled into stress eating and Netflix to numb out afterward. Instead, Jake took a deep breath and tackled the most difficult part first. The resistance was uncomfortable, but he'd been practicing facing discomfort every day with cold showers and challenging tasks. By 6:15 p.m., he'd made enough progress to confidently pick up the next day. That evening, instead of collapsing on the couch, he reflected in his journal. Where did I win today? Where did I fold? Where can I improve tomorrow? The answers were straightforward but powerful. 6 months later, Jake barely recognized his life. The changes weren't flashy. He hadn't become a billionaire or developed a six-pack, but he had launched a modest side business that was gaining traction. His doctor was impressed with his improved health markers. Most importantly, he moved through his days with intention rather than reaction. The system that changed everything wasn't complicated. Early mornings for himself, daily movement, clear priorities, mindful eating, continuous learning, outdoor time, embracing difficulty, and evening reflection. 8 simple habits, consistently applied. Jake's story isn't exceptional because he discovered some secret formula. It's powerful because he discovered what most of us miss. Transformation doesn't require complexity. It requires consistency with the fundamentals. No apps, no fluff, no crushing yourself to meet impossible standards. Just 8 simple habits that rebuild you from the inside out. The question isn't whether you can afford an elaborate self-improvement system. It's whether you can afford to keep ignoring the simple practices that actually work. What would your life look like 6 months from now if you stopped chasing complexity and committed to these 8 fundamentals? The path is clear. The only question is, will you take the first step tomorrow morning?